Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Bullony Basketball. Here with Johnny, as always. How's it going, Johnny?
Going on, Garrett? We are nearing the end of the regular season. It is finally within an arms reach away. So that's certainly exciting. Headed to the middle part of May. The year keeps on flying by, but that means we're closer to the playoffs. Very special guest on today. If you want to go ahead and give an introduction, here's the time.
Yeah, our special guest for today is the one and only official Romp 2.0, down below us right there. How's it going, Romp?
Going good, bro. I'm getting excited for the playoffs. I mean, the regular season's kind of getting boring besides the play-in situation. I don't know if you guys feel that regular season fatigue. It's good to be here.
Yeah, I think we've all kind of hit that part where the regular season's kind of dragging on, but the play-in should be interesting. It's coming around less than a week from now, so that should be pretty good. But let's start off with the first main topic. Jaylen Brown, he's going to be out for the season. Now the Celtics, they've been on a bit of a losing streak. They just lost the other day to the Cavs, and they could be in danger in the play-in with all this being said. So what do you guys think of the Jaylen Brown injury, and how concerned should the Celtics be?
Floor is yours, Rump.
I think they should just while they announced that Jaylen Brown's done for the season, they should have just been yeah, the Celtics are done too, because they've had a weird season overall. Just there's no chemistry, and now missing Jaylen Brown. I mean, you could make an argument that Jason Tatum now knows that it's his team, and he's just gonna go all out. So that could potentially have it could help them out for a couple games, but overall they're probably just gonna maybe win a playing game against the Hornets, and then get a 5-game series against the 1 or 2 seed, in my opinion. So I feel bad for Jaylen Brown because he had a hell of a season. He's improving each and every year, but it seems like the Celtics are done.
Yeah, I mean, expectations are low at this point in the season. Been one of those roller coaster seasons for the Celtics where they're losing games they're not supposed to. Then they're down 35 to San Antonio and come back and win that game. It's just, they felt every high and they felt every low this season, but I think this is kind of the final nail in the coffin. If they were healthy, they'd be a 6 seed or 7 seed that could give the 2 or 3 seeds some trouble, but I think at this point in time, assuming that they do match up with one of Milwaukee or Brooklyn, if they do make the playoffs as that 7 seed, I don't see anything more than a 5-game series, as Rob said.
Yeah, I think both you guys addressed it. I mean, their season pretty much over. Whether they play those 2 teams you mentioned, they could also fall into the second playing game and then play maybe Philadelphia. I don't see them beating any of those 3 teams. And I know, Johnny, you've been high pretty much on the Celtics this year, saying, I still kind of believe in them. I still think they could do it. But this whole season's kind of been a little bit of a disaster for them. I know people said Marcus Smart's injury was part of it, but even before then, there was still a little bit skepticism with how they were playing. I believe they even lost games to teams like the Pistons. So I don't know. I've never really been too high on what they've been doing this season, and the way Kemba Walker came back from injury. All that being said, I don't think that this is going to be a fun season to remember for the Celtics fans. And they'll probably want to forget about it going into next year.
Yeah, I mean, a young core to build around still in Tatum and Brown. Marcus Smart, it's up in the air what they do with him. Robert Williams looks like he could develop into a starting big. And Gary, we've talked about it before, the Kemba Walker situation. I've been on the train of get rid of Kemba this offseason. How that works, I'm not sure. They'd have to facilitate something. But changes are to be coming here for Boston this offseason.
Do you think they move on from Brad Stevens?
No, I don't think there's any reason that they would do that. But then again, I felt the same thing with Indiana and Nate McMillan, and lo and behold, they fired him. So who knows? It's the NBA, but I don't think that there's any valid justification in doing so.
I feel like that they will. I mean, I'm not saying that it's, like you said, I don't think it's justified or anything like that. There's other coaches that definitely don't deserve their job. while Brad Stevens would in place of them. But I don't know. It just seems like one of those seasons where something's gonna come to an end. You mentioned the Pacers last year. I mean, Romp, you saw it with your Sixers last year with Brett Brown in the playoffs. So I don't know. It seems like one of those years, and I could very well see it happening.
It seems like they just need a change after the season because you can't go back. You can't, for the fans' sake, you can't just not do anything and then come back after what happened this year. Like, something's going to happen. I don't know what it is. Maybe get rid of Kemba, but he has, like, no value at this point, so it's a tough situation.
We'll do something, but I think it'll be more of a roster shakeup than a coaching shakeup.
Yeah,
Tatum and Brown. Just keep it Tatum and Brown. I hear people like trying to trade one of them. That's no.
Yeah,
Tatum and Brown.
Yeah, they got to keep those guys and see what they can build around them. But if you want, we can move on to the next topic, which is about Russell Westbrook. He just set the record for most career triple doubles this past week. And what do you think this says about Westbrook, who wasn't named an All-Star this year? People were calling him washed for so long. But what do you guys think about what kind of statement Russell Westbrook is trying to make this year?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind, Romp, I want to take this up because sometimes triggers me. I think everybody's over here with the stat padding and all this, but I think it's more than that. Like, how often do we complain in today's NBA about players sitting out and load management and all this? And then you get a guy, a superstar, or maybe not a superstar at this point in his career, but still an all-star, a very good player, that is willing to play every single game, willing to play 110% every single game, willing to do whatever it takes for his team to win. And you're seeing it now. I don't have their exact record up in front of me, but I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of like 16-5 in their last 21 or something like that. And many of those games have been triple doubles by Westbrook. So it's not just stat padding. Like, the guy goes out there and he does anything the Wizards need him to do. And he's keeping them in games. The games they're losing, 4-point loss to the Hawks the other night. I think they lost by a point to them 3 or 4 nights ago. So it's like they're in these games. So that's something that triggers me. So I wanted to get that out of the way. But what do you guys think?
It's crazy that Russell Westbrook single-handedly normalized the triple-double. Like, that's insane. And like you said, he plays every night. A lot of people are like, oh, he doesn't have a ring, but I don't think he really cares. And I kind of respect that. Like, he just plays. Like, obviously he wants a ring, but it doesn't really affect him either way. His legacy is just, he's going to play hard every night. He's going to play how he wants to, and he's going to get triple-doubles. And just look at the Wizards roster. Like, how is he getting triple-doubles with that terrible roster? And you said that there are a lot of close losses, and I think a lot has to do with Scott Brooks being Scott Brooks. Yesterday against the Hawks, he should have played Gafford over Alex Len at the end, in my opinion. But it's just insane that triple-double leader, Russell Westbrook now, because no one ever thought that record would be broken.
Yeah, and I mean, you had all these people for the last several years saying he's a stat padder, he's just going for the numbers. And I guess to a degree in his first season he did, I can understand it a little bit because, he was so hyped to do it. But ever since then, he's done it for 4 years. I mean, what can you say about it now? This is just something that he normally does, almost every single time he's out on the court. Probably could have done it again last year with the Rockets if, James Harden didn't have the ball in his hands so much. And then, it was a completely different role for him. But I think you got to give him respect and put respect on his name. A lot of people saying he was washed. I think that he's definitely a little butthurt about not making the All-Star team this year. Because, I mean, Westbrook, he's going to take that stuff personally as Michael Jordan would or something like that. But, yeah, I think that Russell Westbrook, you can't put too much slander on his name, especially right now when he's balling out.
Also, like, one of those things, you can stumble across triple-doubles here and there, but for what many considered to be a record that would never be broken, you don't break that super easily as he did.
Yeah, and it's also just crazy because it hasn't been done in so long, or anything close to this in so long. But yeah, we can move on to the next topic, which is about Donovan Mitchell. His injury update, they say that he is not going to be playing in the remaining games for the rest of the season. How concerning is this? Because, the Jazz are the first seed. I know, Romp, you said that they're frauds for a while now. But what do you guys think? Is this concerning?
Go for it, Romp.
I don't think it's concerning for them because I think they pretty much got the 1 seed locked up because the Suns just lost to the Warriors the other night. So I think they just need like one more win to lock it up. So the Jazz are pretty good in terms of most likely avoiding the Lakers unless the Warriors beat the Lakers in the play-in. So it's good for the Jazz, and hopefully Donovan Mitchell's back for the playoffs. I think that's the most important thing. Don't rush him back just to rush him back, you know what I'm saying? So hopefully he's back for the first round, whoever they get, either the Warriors or the Lakers. Yeah, I think the Jazz's style is just, it's going to be interesting to see. I could be wrong, but I just think they play really, really fast and just rely too much on three-pointers. And I think it could be exposed in the playoffs. But who knows? I could be wrong.
So I'm not as concerned about them locking up the 1 seed because I think that's halfway in the bag already as I am for the playoffs. And it's not even because I think the Jazz are frauds, but whoever they get is not your typical 8 seed. I don't expect it to be the Lakers, but if they got the Lakers, that would be a nightmare matchup for an 8 seed. Even if it is the Warriors, I don't think the Warriors are your typical 8 seed. This is a team that's peaking at the perfect time. This is a team that has been there and done that before. They still have Steph, who's live to go for 50 any given night. Draymond knows what he's doing. And then you just have, I don't want to say that the Warriors have a great team built around those two because they clearly don't, but I don't think this is a team that an 8 seed this is not a team that a 1 seed wants to see. This is not your typical 8 seed. So I think for the Jazz's sake, they'd like to get Donovan Mitchell at least a game or two to ramp himself up to get to playoff speed. But you don't want to risk that. You don't want to do that and then risk him missing the playoffs. You'd rather just have him jump into it in the playoffs and hope that things kind of get up to speed quickly. So there's not really a great way to do it. They're kind of in a pickle here.
Yeah, I think what you said about having reps under your belt, I mean, we saw that with the Clippers some last year because, I think Harrell, his first game in the bubble was the first game of the playoffs. And then, Lou Williams was getting the Lemon Pepper Lou label out in Magic City, having his fun. But yeah, like if you're playing, say, the Lakers as the 8 seed and you haven't had, you haven't played like an actual game in about a month, I mean, that's going to be tough. And also not just him being out right now, but Mike Conley, he's missed the last several games too. You mentioned the Warriors, that's going to be a tough game. And I mean, I don't think either of you guys said, but the Grizzlies too, like they're a pretty good team. They've won 3 straight. They're 5 games over 500 on the road, so they very well could pull off, an upset, especially if the Jazz start struggling and they have to get, reacclimated to each other. I don't know how I really like that. So it would be tough. I mean, maybe a good scenario would be the Spurs somehow pull off a miracle and, get the 8 seed. Because I think that they should be fine in that case. I can't really write off a Greg Popovich team. But still, I think that maybe they'd have a really good chance against them. The other 3 teams, though, could be pretty scary.
I just feel bad for, Jazz and Suns fans. They had such a crazy regular season, and now they have to go up against either LeBron or Steph Curry with no expectations. The Warriors have no expectations whatsoever. They don't have to get to the playoffs because, injuries, and their roster's trash. But now Curry's heading into the playoffs, just basically playing with house money. He could go wild against the Jazz or the Suns. I would not be surprised if they beat the Jazz in a crazy 7-game series, kind of like the Denver Jazz series was last year. It was just back and forth. So I just feel bad for the Jazz and the Suns. I hope they get the Spurs, like you said, because I don't see the Spurs even winning a game against them. Or the Grizzlies, because the Grizzlies just lack experience. They're a good young team, but they're just lacking in experience, so I don't think they would be as scary.
Yeah, I mean, nightmare situation, because if the Suns get the Lakers and the Lakers win, you're going to get people calling the Suns frauds, but the Lakers are a team that coming into the season was the title favorite, and injuries is literally the reason that they're the 7 seed. So it's going to be interesting to see how everything unfolds.
I kind of want to see how the odds line up for the Lakers, because if they're likely a 7 or 8 seed, you know, that would be weird if, you know, they're favoring the Lakers over them, but at the same time, it's like they did just win the championship last year. They got better in the offseason. People were saying they had one of the best off seasons, so I don't know. It should be interesting to see, though. But let's talk about this weird, you know, scoring title beef. You know, the top 2 leaders in points per game this year, Steph Curry and Bradley Beal. Now, Curry hasn't really said anything about this too much, but Bradley Beal, you know, he saw comments about Kent Bazemore, which is Curry's teammate, saying stuff about, you know, people are injuring their hamstring, trying to catch up, and then Beal took offense to that because, you know, he was obviously giving him a subliminal message. What do you guys think about, you know, this little kind of rivalry, per se?
I was okay with it up until Bazemore made the hamstring joke. Like, I think it's all fun and games, and Bazemore said, you know, Steph's my guy, I'm going to back Steph, and rightfully so. But I don't think that you have to, like, take that jab and make a joke about a hamstring, because hamstring injuries are no fun. The Wizards are trying to fight for their playoff life. So there's a lot of moving parts there. It's not like Beal wants to sit out. And even if it was in good intentions and stuff, I still think it's something that didn't need to be said. But everything up until that point, I was in for.
Yeah, I agree. It was a weird beef. Kent Bazemore versus Bradley Beal. Who would have thought that? But just unnecessary, I guess. I don't think Kent Bazemore meant it in a bad way. I think it just was dumb to say. And after he said it, he was like, "What the heck did I just say?" I think he's seeing the response of Bradley Beal, even though he kind of doubled down on it. But I don't know, it's just weird. It should be like Curry versus Beal, not Kent Bazemore versus Beal. So I don't really have that much thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, not much to add. I just thought it was kind of weird. You know, if anyone should be saying anything, like you said, it should be Curry. But I don't know. There's always going to be, you know, some of those people like that backing up their teammates, whether or not it's in, you know, the right fashion. But let's move on. Let's talk about the battle for the 2 and 3 seed, the Bucks and the Nets. Now, of course, you know, I believe the Nets I believe actually both of them could still get the first seed, but it would take like a miracle. But what do you guys think of, you know, the Bucks and Nets fighting out for the 2-3 seed right now? And, you know, what do you expect? What do you want to happen when it shakes out?
I mean, it looks like the standings as are for the 1, 2, 3 in the East are going to unfold that same way. So it looks like Brooklyn's going to hold on to that 2 seed and Milwaukee the 3 seed. Garrett and I were talking pre-show. I think that as long as Miami stays out of the 6 seed, that both Philly and Brooklyn should move on with relative ease. Assuming you're not having to go through Miami, because I think Miami is really that only team below the 3 seed that has any chance of knocking off one of the top 3 teams, just given their experience and given Eric Spoelstra, you got Butler, Adebayo. So I think as long as Miami isn't the 6 or the 7 seed, then I think we're going to see this as a second round matchup. So I don't think it really matters too much as to who's the 2 and who's the 3 seed. Obviously, you get home court advantage. But I expect a healthy Brooklyn team to come out of the East. But that second round matchup with Milwaukee would be one to see for sure.
Yeah, I think avoiding the Heat in the first round would be the best for the Nets and Bucks. Not saying they would lose to them, it would just be a dogfight, because I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on the Heat. They dealt with a lot of injuries. Even though the bubble might have been lucky, I guess you could say, but I don't want to face the Heat as a Sixers fan. I hope they get the 6th seed so Knicks and Hawks would be the 4-5. I'm praying for that because that would just be a cakewalk to the conference finals. I think the Knicks would cause some trouble, but they're just too inexperienced. But I do not want to see the Heat in the second round because I think Jimmy Butler would cook us, especially since he has a past with us and he's that type of player. So yeah, I think Bucks and Nets try to get that 2 seed just in case the Heat do end up the 6 seed.
Yeah, I mean, definitely of those teams from 4 to 6, the Heat are going to be the toughest out. And I would personally like to see, like I think both of you guys said, maybe Hawks 4, Knicks 5, or Knicks 4, Hawks 5, and then the Heat get the 6 seed. I just feel like that's a better matchup because the Heat, they're a scarier team for sure than New York, than Atlanta. So if they played Milwaukee or Brooklyn, I think that would make for a better first-round matchup. And I think even New York and Atlanta are kind of on the same playing field as well, so it makes sense. But, I mean, the Bucks, they did get those 2 big wins against Brooklyn over the past few weeks. So, if the Nets drop one of these games, although they do have some easy games, they play the Cavs and they play the Bulls. Knowing the Bulls, they're not going to win that. They're not going to beat Milwaukee either when they play them probably. So it seems like you said, Johnny, it's going to play out how it is right now with Nets 2 and Bucks 3. I would just like to see who gets the 6th seed, especially if it is Miami, if that's how it lays out, because it would be like a rematch for Giannis trying to get revenge on the Heat for what happened in the bubble last year.
And for my sake, I almost want to see Miami get a 4 or 5 seed because I think they win that matchup, and then the second round matchup has the 4 best teams in the East. But either way, I mean, seeing good games, whether they're in the first or the second round, is really all I can hope for.
Yeah, for sure. But let's move on to something a little bit, outside the NBA. Talking about J. Cole, who just signed with Rwanda's Patriots in the Basketball Africa League. Just what are you guys' thoughts on this?
I mean, the guy's a baller. Chris Brickley is one of the NBA's top trainer, if not the NBA's top trainer. All over Instagram, trains guys like Melo, Donovan Mitchell. He holds those summer runs where LeBron is, where KD is, James Harden. So literally all the biggest names are with him. And J. Cole trains with him too. Obviously, he's not like an all-star J. Cole or anything like that, but he's good enough to play in a league like this, and it should be interesting to see how somebody we know as a rapper kind of looks as a professional basketball player.
It should be interesting. I'm looking up his height right now. He's 6'2", 141. Do you think he'll actually play? Or is it just like...
If he does, he'll get bodied at 141 pounds.
I mean, he's got to be wrong. 141.
Got a nice shot.
141, dang, bro. Yeah, he does have a nice shot. It's cool to see. I don't know how you watch those games. You got to, stream them online? Something?
Probably. That would be my best bet. But yeah.
A 10-day contract?
Who knows? I don't know. I feel like I think he will at least play some, and he's shown flashes, like you guys said. He's a baller. I'm pretty sure he was in the 2012 Celebrity Game, which that doesn't say much because they get anybody. But he was one. He was.
Kevin Hart plays in that.
Yeah. But he was one of the better players there. He showed some of his hops in the 2019 dunk contest. So even most NBA fans, I feel have a good idea of what he's about. And who knows? Maybe if he starts balling out over there, he could reunite with your team, Romp, and his long lost twin, Tobias Harris.
Oh yeah, I'll take it. That'd be good for our bench. He'd be cool on the bench, and then he would rap in the locker room. Or chemistry. So maybe we'll sign him for chemistry reasons, and he'll play with B-ball Paul in the fourth quarter.
And then he can perform at halftime as well.
Yeah. Perfect fit.
But yeah, just a little bit of that, and now we can move on to our daily picks, starting off with May 14th. We got the Cavaliers and the Wizards. Probably not too interesting here, but what do you guys got here?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take the stat patter.
Yeah, I'll take the Wizards because they just lost. And they need one more win to clinch, so.
And I'm hoping they don't, even though the Bulls pretty much have no chance now. But I'm going to take the Wizards. Seems like the realistic choice. I will shout out Kevin Love, though. He just dropped 30 points the other day on probably his best game in years, honestly. But on the next day, we got the Hornets-Knicks. What do you guys got here?
I'll take New York here. I think the Knicks solidify their playoff positioning.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm going Knicks. Hopefully, so they could get the 5th seed or 4th seed. My sister's sake.
Give me NYC as well. And on the last day of the season, we got the Nuggets and the Blazers. This one's probably the best of the 3 games, but who do you guys got?
Real big game. I'm trying to see quickly if the Nuggets have any playoff implications for their seeding, because it might be a good time to let some.
They're only like 1 game back from the Clippers.
Yeah, so depending on how things shake, I want to say Portland because I know this game means a lot to Portland. So I'm going to go with Portland, but this should be a dogfight.
I'm going to go Nuggets just because I don't trust Portland. Every time I trust them, they let me down, so I'm going to go Nuggets.
I mean, this is going to be a good game because, if the Blazers win, assuming they can somehow beat Phoenix, because I don't know if Dallas will lose any of their remaining games. They got an easy schedule. They could clinch the 5 seed and clinch Nuggets in the 4 seed, which, I mean, the way the Blazers have played the Clippers this year, they probably want to face the Nuggets without Jamal Murray over the Clippers that are likely going to be healthy. With that being said, I'm going to take Portland, though. They've been pretty much one of the hottest teams in basketball ever since, that guy put up his house for 42 wins. So I think that they will pull this off. But yeah, I think that's pretty much going to cover the topics. Do you guys have any final thoughts?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is just the 4 through 6 seeds in both conferences, or I guess 5 through 7 in the Western, 4 through 6 in the Eastern Conference. Kind of just see where things shake up for the play-in games. So it should be a wild end to the regular season.
Yeah, I agree. I think I thought of this during the episode. I'm not even going to lie. I may pick the Warriors over the Jazz and the Lakers over the Suns. Not going to lie.
I wonder if that's ever happened. Has there ever been like a 7 and an 8 seed in the same conference? I feel like that's had to have never happened before.
I would say no. I mean, because you had the We Believe Warriors, but I don't think the 7 seed that year probably didn't end up winning. So, I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, those will be fun series to watch for sure. Yeah, I think that's going to close out the show. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to go check out Romp. I'm going to have his link in the description below. Get into 10K subs. He's almost there. But yeah, I think that's going to do it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we're out. Peace.